Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to cover more Wayne. So, of course, this is episodes 5 and 6, both of them together. Cause it's much easier that way, considering both of them are only 30 minutes long. Might as well just review 2 episodes. Be a lot easier. Or probably just be easy to just go on and watch the whole season in one fell swoop and then watch it that way. But here we are. So, going on into episode 5, we mainly have a prequel to this whole event, a prequel to the pilot episode, which is to be Dell's episode, where we kind of focus on Dell and her mother, kind of leading up to, of course, there's a certain reason why Dell's mother isn't in Dell's life. Of course, Donna. We also go on into this story, and we just have some interesting things going on with Dell, leading up to the moment I'm assessing or assuming that Dell is to go on and meet up with Wayne and then leave this town. We go on, we have episode 6 where it seems that Dell is to make friends, so much so that it feels like she is to realize that things are going so well with her in this new place, this new environment, that maybe she's thinking about staying, where all of a sudden Wayne is still like adamantly going and like, well, like he has a goal in mind, he wants to achieve this goal, and so maybe Dell should stay here. Maybe Dell should hope that things are going to go right for her right this time around. So, with that said, really that's all that happens within these episodes. Really just we have this dance that goes on in this episode because it seems that all of a sudden Dell is to be just shoved into this school where all of a sudden it seems that they can go on and get away with anything, to where they have to forcibly have both Dell and Wayne have this school dance kind of thing within the 6th episode. So some interesting things here, and also some interesting ways to approach these episodes. So with that said, let's just go into that double 5 time territory because it's about that customary time yet again to just go into spoilers about this one. I had fun with these episodes. Like I liked the whole Dell intro episode. I wish it kind of would have been sooner. I wish we would have kind of gotten this like within like the 2nd episode to just kind of give us the understanding of this character. I think would have just got like I don't think it would have been weird. But I also think that we probably should have had this a lot sooner. Probably right around the time where Wayne was Wayne and Dell were kind of going on and being like dropped into these episodes. That would have been a perfect time to actually have this Dell episode where they were explaining Dell, and then just having these drop in episodes where it doesn't really matter where the Dell episode was to take place. But it would have been interesting to just kind of early set up Dell, for us to really invest in this character so much more if we weren't already invested, because it's really just there's only so few people. It's either Wayne or Dell you're having to invest in this entire show. So I guess it really doesn't matter, but still. So let's go into this episode. So spoilers. Really, I've kind of said. Luckily, this is like a continuous series, so I don't have to tell people where to go to see this, which is great. So with that said, this episode, of course, is to have Dell, like, we open episode 5 with Dell covered in blood, and is to get closer and closer into, of course, the camera showing her necklace and showing that her shirt is all bloody. And we're like, okay, what's going on here? Cue us, of course, getting a course now, like an understanding of the progression of where this is all to lead up to. So Del and Donna are going and swimming in this pool, a pool that they are actually not to be permitted to swim into because it seems that somebody would have to be a part of this hotel to be able to swim in this pool. So we go on and we have Donna and Del, who are, of course, going and playing around in this pool. It seems that Del can do this handstand in this pool, so she desperately wants her mother to go on and try to do the same, which she can't. So we, of course, have Donna telling Del to go on and mention this backstory of who they actually are. So we, of course, have Donna who's charging pina coladas, one of them being a virgin for Del. And so Donna is going on and charging this all to some random girl's room so that way they can go on and just get scot-free away from this. So all of a sudden we go on and have the waiter and this manager go and confront Donna, saying it's like, well, it seems that there's one girl accusing somebody of charging stuff to her room, and like it seems that there is some disagreement of who this girl really is. And so all of a sudden we have Donna who is to leave her what is this, at first seemed like her purse, but we find out it's actually this girl's purse. And so it seems that Donna is to ask this woman to like, hey, well, do you have ID on her? And she's like, no, I'm wearing a bathing suit. And so Donna is to kind of take out this medication that is to have this girl's name on it. And she's going to go, aha, like, guess who has some kind of thing that says information on it? She's like, oh my God, you stole that from me. As well as Donna is scrambling and taking this girl's purse, as well as scrambling and going on and grabbing this food that I guess is to have been prepped. So Del and Donna run off, and so when Bobby is to see that both Donna and Del have made their way home, we find, or Bobby finds out about the whole, like, them going to this hotel because they were making up some story that really Bobby just can't believe. So we, of course, have Donna desperately wanting some pool and having to just scam people to get that pool is what she just wants to do. And she's forcibly telling Bobby to, like, well, why can't you just make a pool? Just dig a big massive hole in the backyard and just put water in it. Should be easy enough. So we go on here, we have the twins that are to consistently hear a cat in the wall somehow, and they're trying to figure out exactly where the cat is. So the twins like take forever in this episode to try to figure out where this cat is for them to not be able to figure out where the heck the cat is within this wall. So we go on and we have everybody eat their food and so on and so forth. So Del is going on because she's to tell Donna this, that she wants to go and be class president. And so Donna is kind of telling Del, like, well, hey, kind of reach for the stars. Like, if I like you, then a lot of people are going to have to. So Donna just has this dream of becoming class president, but it seems that she's not possibly favored by a lot of people, but still. So Donna is telling Del, it's like, well, hey, how about we go to a store later, and try and find like a bunch of kind of paper and stuff that we kind of go and make signs and make everybody aware that you want to be class president, and like we'll make posters and try to do some promotion and stuff like that. So So we go on and we have, of course, Dell with her friend Natalie. And so we have Dell going on and trying to desperately ask for a bunch of students to go and donate blood because it seems that the hockey team is to have one guy who accidentally uh, had cut himself via these blades, and I guess he had gotten stabbed with some blade in the jugular. And so I guess a lot of people are asking to just donate blood to save this possible ho- hockey player. And so also I was thinking like, well, would it make sense for a lot of times those guys to get a blade somewhere and get freaking cut? I would always be worried about that. So we also have it where it seems that Dell is to possibly get a lifeguard interested in her, and it seems that at some point he is to hear what Dell is doing, and this lifeguard guy, I think his name is Luke, is to hear what she's doing and almost is like asking Dell out at some point. But we have Betty who's going on with these girls and is trying to give really just Dell crap and saying that, aren't you some crack baby? Like, isn't your mother on drugs? Which is not really true. We have Natalie and Dell going on and really realizing that these girls aren't going to help Dell out here. And so Natalie just kind of gives them the finger, walks off, and Dell's like, "Oh, thanks for going ahead and giving a real good reason for them to want to vote for me." And Natalie's just like, "Well, we don't need those people. We can go and find someone else." So we have it where, of course, forcibly, uh, instead of actually Dell going out with her mother to get all these poster board and all these things for these signs, instead, all of a sudden, since uh, Donna is gone, we of course have Bobby who steps in and helps Dell get this stuff. And so we have Bobby that's just asking Dell, it's like, why are you doing all this popularity contest bullshit? Like, why are you doing any of this? Like, why are you just wasting time? And Dell's like, well, I want to do something good for people. Like, I want to do something like good. And I feel like being this person could eventually do some good. So Bobby's just like, okay, sure. Like, we'll play into that. So Bobby is, of course, going on and like they're picking and choosing certain colors, and Dell is possibly to think about choosing green because it's a gender neutral color, and Bobby's thinking it's like, well, hey, like, yeah, you should probably choose green because it'll remind people of money, and these people are greedy people. So we go on and we have Dell who is to stand in front of people doing this public speaking thing. And it seems like that seems to be the theme for these two episodes because we have Tom Cole, the principal, in the next episode, who's also going to be doing a public speaking thing. So I don't know what it is with public speaking for these episodes. It's as if they wanted to go and like kind of stick with the same theme here of just having these guys have to do like some kind of speech for whatever reason to just kind of eat up some time. So we have Dell going and talking about all the stuff that she wants to change, having free tampons and kind of cleaning up some stuff around this school, so to speak. And so we of course have Donna who came up with the slogan "What the hell, vote for Dell," and So that's what kind of Dell uses here. And so we have it where Dell is to say, it's like, well, because we still hear the crack baby off in the distance. So Dell is saying, it's like, you know what? Like, I know that everybody not might not like me, but hey, I like you and I want to do some good for the school. And so, hey, just vote for me, please. So we go on and we have Dell leaving to have Betty come up so that way she can go on and she could woo everybody just by walking up to the stage and everybody's like, woo hoo hoo. Because attractive girl, I guess. I don't know. But, anyways, so Dell, after this whole thing is over, we're assuming that she was to have lost simply because popularity contest. So Dell goes home and all of a sudden is to see her dad kind of disheveled or just kind of, I don't know, he looks very just grizzled and dirty and whatever. I don't know. So we of course have Bobby having Dell need to be told some information, but she of course is to promise him that she won't cry about it. So Dell's like, okay, what is this information? So I'm paraphrasing here, of course. So we have Bobby going and telling Donna or Dell that Donna is dead. That Donna had done something stupid. She had gotten herself into an accident and she is gone. Which I'm assuming that means death because they didn't clarify that. They just say that she's gone. Like, was she in jail? Was she, like, are we going to all of a sudden in another episode find out that she was actually just in jail? And that's going to be the story? Is that going to be it? That it's actually just she's in jail? I don't know. Like, we didn't see a funeral being done for this character, so I'm assuming they're kind of leaving that so vague for a reason. So Dell, of course, is starting to trickle down a tear, but she had, of course, promised her father that she's not going to cry. So she's just holding it in. So we go on and we have just Dell that's holding it in so much that all of a sudden we have Natalie that is to just say, like, well, hey, let's go and let's have fun, or let's kind of do something to kind of get our mind off things. And Dell is just like, whatever. Like, like, Natalie's just like, oh, come on. Like, I'm trying to. Dell just doesn't care anymore. Like, Dell just is just checked out. And so Dell goes on and is to just dunk herself into the pool that she shouldn't have access to, and she just wants the quiet. She just wants to just sift in this pool wearing her hoodie and her jeans and her whatever. So we have the lifeguard that, of course, is to pull her out here. And we, of course, have Dell that's making that excuse from days before about that whole story. And the woman there is saying, like, well, like, that whole thing was like a week ago, so what's the new story? So we go and we have this lifeguard who, of course, knows who this really is and knows it's really Dell. And so he's like, well, hey, are you okay, Dell? Is everything okay? So we go on and we push here to have Dell that is to go on and give blood. We, of course, have it where Dell was pitching to a number of kids uh, before to give blood, and none of them were really interested, but really Dell pitches that it's like, well, you could probably get out of certain things at school, and so Dell was finally just saying, like, well, yeah, like, you'll get out of that. And so the students are just like, well, that's what you should have sold us on first. So we go on and we, of course, have Dell, who goes to give blood, all of a sudden meeting Betty there. And Betty's like, you know what? I'm sorry about what had happened to your mom and everything like that. Like, I'm sorry about me kind of being rude to you and whatever. So all of a sudden, Dell had just snapped at this point, and so they went on and tried to like tie her arm off, Dell's arm off, but Dell finally just snapped and is pulling the of course uh, needle out of Betty here, and her arm is just gushing with blood. And so, like, Betty is just kind of flinging her arm around, and this nurse is desperately trying to figure out how to stop this bleeding. And so, all of a sudden, Dell is just poking holes into all these blood bags and having this blood just spray everywhere. And so, Dell is to go and slap this poster with blood on it and is to walk out of this place, just giving us that first intro scene that we are to see here. So Dell goes on and is to make it back home, where Bobby and the twins are to make it back home also, to then have so many holes being put through this, of course, whoops, this, of course, house. And we just find out here that Dell had finally found the cat. Through numerous holes through the wall, she had finally found it. And the guys are just like, okay, great. That's all that really mattered. So, with that said, that technically covers most of episode 5. That goes out of our way to cover that episode. So, now the next episode is to be back into current time, where we have kind of a number of things going on here. So, we go on in this episode. It's kind of tough to figure out what to exactly cover first. So, let's cover the Sergeant and Officer J stuff. So, we have Sergeant and Officer J who are making their way to kind of follow the tracks of Wayne. And so the sergeant and the officer are to go and find Eric, the guy who, of course, had done all those horrible things to all those illegals. And so the sergeant is to go on and easily realize what Eric is doing, as the sergeant is to go and have Eric's cell phone and is to kind of take the one phone number that Eric calls the most. And so Sergeant is listening to it, realizing that this phone call is for immigration. And so Sergeant's like, you know what? I've had a story once before about a guy who would have a lot of people go and do like construction on his house, and then he would go on and hand them all into immigration. Like I've had that happen with somebody that I knew. So maybe I should go on and explain that to all of your workers, as the sergeant is starting to speak Spanish to all these people, letting them know what's really going on here. So we, of course, have the sergeant and Officer J, who, of course, go on and speak to the sheriff of this town. And so the sheriff is going and thanking Sergeant for what he did with Eric, because the sheriff was almost interested in hiring Eric, but since the sheriff realized that Eric is kind of hiring illegals, it's like, I don't think we hire that guy now. So we, of course, go on and have the sheriff mentioning to the sergeant and Officer J that it's there's a story going around that there is to be uh, one guy who had gone on and poured a thing of gasoline on a guy, and it was almost threatening to light a match upon this guy, and that guy just so happened to have a Boston accent. So Sergeant Stephen and Officer Jay go and investigate who this could possibly be, and they go and they see the gas station tapes, and they realize that this is Bobby and his two twin sons. And so they're like, oh my god, like maybe Wayne really isn't the villain of this story. Maybe Wayne is the hero of this story. Because we have Officer J that's kind of thinking that, or even Steven is thinking that, like, Wayne is just some Robin Hood. Or maybe he's just the good guy out of the story and we're just, like, seeing him on a bad day. Or something along those lines. So, yeah, Bobby was the one that actually was to pour gasoline on this guy because it seems that this guy was to go on and confront Bobby and his twin sons while at this gas station because Bobby had decided to cut this guy off. And so he confronted him about it, so he poured gasoline all over this guy and all over his car and says, "Oh, hey, cute car." And he's like so tempted to just light this match and to toss this match onto this guy. And so he's like, oh my god, so he's kind of fearful for his life. So instead, Bobby used to light this cigarette match and to just kind of leave it at that. Scare this guy to death, but not really do anything about it. So we also had a moment where, of course, Officer J was to try and take pictures of this like crappy looking food and try to pass it off as something really good, but he couldn't pass it off because there's no filter that he could use to try to make it look good. And so we have, of course, Officer J trying to convince this sergeant that, yeah, maybe Wayne is a good guy, and we're passing him off as the devil. We're passing him off as a bad guy, and maybe we just don't know his whole story here. So we go on, and let me reset here for a second here. Let me also just kind of pause for a second. All right. So we go on here, and of course, what else little things can we cover here before the big story? Let's just get into the big story. So we have Wayne and we have Dell who make it to this pizza place, and so it seems that both Wayne and Dell are kind of waiting for certain people to finish their meal and to walk off, so that way both Wayne and Dell can go and grab these pizzas and just eat them, because these guys have technically paid for their food. So Wayne, of course, is to hate mushrooms and is to have Dell pick them off because she likes mushrooms. So all of a sudden, Wayne is to see one guy kind of douse his hand with this stuff, and like he, of course, is to hate it. So Wayne's like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. So he douses his hand with the exact same stuff, and he is to have a tear roll down his eye, of course. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So all of a sudden, we have this vice principal from some school somewhere going and nabbing all these kids and telling them to, like, hey, kids, go back to school. Like, and so all of these kids weirdly get detention because I guess they were trying to ditch classes. So all of a sudden, weirdly, we don't really check in on who Dell is, or if she is to even have gone to this school. But I guess since her age, she just considers, or the vice principal of this other school just considers that this girl is from this school. I don't know why this principal is going out of his way to just go and search and try to find throughout this town if any of these kids are ditching their classes or whatever. But uh, we have Dell go and mix it up with these two other students. One being Jenny and one being heaven forbid you have the other picture right. Trish, I believe. Uh, we of course go on here and yeah, Trish. Thank God for pictures. Anyways, so we go on. We have these two girls who are very interested in Dell because they know that she doesn't go to this school. And they're going on and they're telling her, hey, like, we end up getting a lunch here, even though we're in detention. And if the lunch is just crap, we got some flaming hot Cheetos over in the nonfiction section. So we of course have it where like the girls are kind of interested in Dell, and so they're asking her. It's like, well, hey, like, do you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, goat, whatever? What do you have? And so Dell's like, well, I got a Wayne, and they're like, what the heck is a Wayne? So it seems like these girls are really fascinated by this new girl, and so they're like, hey, like, we can probably get you in to go to this dance tonight. And so like we're gonna try and like get you in there. So all of a sudden we have Wayne coming into this motorcycle, or coming in with this motorcycle through the school, and they're like, oh my god, this guy is so cool, this guy is so awesome, that must be what a Wayne is. And so I think that thing there of like, oh, that must be Wayne, what a Wayne is to possibly be in the trailer somewhere of the show. So we go on and we have Dell who gets on this motorcycle and is leaving the school. And so we have Wayne who's asking, like, Dell, okay, what the heck happened there? Because he was kind of like, all of a sudden goes out of the bathroom and all of a sudden she's gone. So we have to where these two girls show up and like, oh my god, Wayne, this is like, you're awesome. So they're still going talking about this whole dance thing, and Dell's like, yeah, I guess there's some dance tonight. And so Wayne is like dancing, like music and stuff, and like you got to do weird dances and whatever, and they're like, yeah. So we push on, and supposedly Jenny is to have, I guess, a cluster of just different clothes. There's be like these nice dresses and whatever. And I'm sure any number of these things will perfectly fit every single one of these characters, even though it's supposed to be hand me down clothes that probably should not easily fit a person. But it seems that, of course, this stuff is always going to easily fit a person because that's always what's to happen in all these shows. So we also go on and have Tom Cole, who's going with Orlando to this principal's conference to desperately hope that he can go and win these people over so that way they can get some funding for some iPads. Where Tom Cole is mentioning to Orlando that this is all just a waste because he's not going to be able to come up with a speech to win these guys over to get some kind of funding, and Orlando could not give a crap about helping Principal Cole because he would rather go on and watch some adult movies. And so Orlando is desperately telling Cole to just leave this room so Orlando can do whatever he wants with these adult movies. So Tom Cole just decides to go and copy and paste and steal from some internet site that is to have this speech, which is, I guess, to be Google. So Tom goes on and steals this whole entire speech, and they go to this press conference. And we had at one point where Orlando was telling Tom Cole to like speak with his heart and say it's like, well, why did you ever want to become a principal? And Tom says it's like, well, it was just a convenient thing. Like, Tom just wanted to be, or Tom just at some point was I think like a gym teacher, and then they just went on and just he by accident just became this principal. So we have Tom who goes to this conference, and all of a sudden we have this guy rattle off this speech, and it's the exact same one that Tom already has, and he's like, "Oh fuck, God, son of a." So now Tom is to just crumple up that paper and to toss it because there's nothing he can do at this point. So he goes up there, and the only thing that he's left to do is speak from the heart, or really just say nothing and then just walk away. So Tom goes in and is to finally just be honest with people and just say, you know what? I'm Principal Tom Cole, and when really looking at it, I really just want this grant. I really just want to turn around and have this be used for technology that is just going to be wasted because somebody at my school will literally take a dump on the of whatever it is that we use. Somebody's gonna pee on it. Somebody's gonna poop on it. Somebody's gonna just destroy it. It's going to happen. And so Tom really is to say that he can't even look his students square in the eye most of the time because he feels that he has failed them, and that most of these people probably in this school or in this conference are to feel the exact same way, that they have just kind of failed their students. So I think we kind of really have this speech from the Karate Kid, obviously, just blatantly just stealing and copying and pasting from the Karate Kid. That's a joke from Not Another Teen Movie, where we go on and we have the girl who's talking to Chris Evans, and she's saying it's like, oh, you just stole that line from Karate Kid. Yeah, I'm sure he did. So, I'm sure he did. So, we of course have it where also Tom Cole is to mention that this other guy had stole his speech from Google, and the guy is like, well, yeah, I did. It's like, yeah, I know. So, plus that speech like means nothing. It's like a meaningless speech that guy was to give. But Tom is to go and speak from the heart, and it seems that maybe they're going to get that grant after all, just because he's being honest with people. So that is to be the end of that story. So let's see. Let's come up with anything left before we get to the big hurrah of this episode, which I think that's it. So let's get to the big hurrah. So we go on and we have, of course, Dell going through these dresses, and Jenny and Trish are going and helping Dell, like, ooh, which ones should we have? All of a sudden they're picking Wayne's dress out, which is to be this really pink, like blazer, whatever thing that looks just straight up god awful. And we're having Wayne, who I guess only has this one thing to choose from. So, yeah. So, Wayne is thinking that he's probably not going to go to this dance, and that Dell should just go on and stay here because it seems like she's going to be happy. And Wayne is to also see this ticket in uh, in Dell's backpack as Dell is asking Wayne for some, uh, for of course some like I think comb or something. So Wayne is to tell Dell that she'll be happy here and that she should just stay here, and that Wayne should just go off without her. And so it seems that Wayne is starting to head that way, but then he decides to turn around. Decides to go to this dance because really, it seems that the both of them are starting to realize, as Wayne is to go to this pizza place, that this pizza guy is going on and telling Wayne that that this one guy is to order this pizza with all the mushrooms, but he hates mushrooms. But he'll go and he'll pick all of them off to give this girl more mushrooms on her pizza because he's making a sacrifice. That he, at some point, well, yeah, he'll be eating a pizza that he has to do the work for him possibly later to do no work in eating up something else, which is be that poontang pie. No. So we go on and we of course have it where Wayne is to possibly realize here that there's a opportunity for him to like be with Dell and to make sacrifices so that way he can be with her because he probably won't be with anybody ever else. So we go on and have Wayne go to this dance, and all of a sudden he's very creatively dancing. It's very weird, spastic like dance, but F it, there's some people who can't dance at all, and possibly Wayne might be that. Plus, really also when really looking at it, at least he's trying. Like he gets an E for effort because trying, but it seems that things are like easily just like people are like, hey, this Wayne guy, wow, like he's showing up and doing all these weird moves, and people are just like, yeah, they're won over quickly by him because he's the star of this show. He holds a title screen. So we have both Dell and Wayne just kind of dancing it out as Dell is to be asked her hand by Wayne. So they both Wayne and Dell all of a sudden leave this dance, and so Bobby is to get a call from uh, from of course this voicemail, and this is of course from this vice principal letting him know about his daughter at this school. And so he's like, oh, so she's weirdly at this school now for some odd reason. Okay, I'm going to go and check this out. So we go on here and we have Bobby and the sideways hat twins make their way to this school as both Wayne and Bobby, or both Wayne and Bobby. Why did I say Bobby? Both Wayne and Dell are almost to kiss, almost to finally cement this relationship that everybody has been waiting for a while now. So all of a sudden they're so close to kissing to be interrupted by Bobby yet again, going and beating the crap out of Wayne to where his face is all bloody and mashed up. To where Dell's like, oh my god, like, oh my god, Bobby, why are you beating up my boyfriend kind of thing. So because she says daddy, but I don't like to say the word daddy. That seems weird. So all of a sudden we have the students from this school that are like, oh my god, like this guy's beating up Wayne. We need to go and help him because we barely know this guy, but he seems really cool. So all of a sudden we have all the students just coming out and just trying to beat up Bobby and his sons. And I'm like, God, this is weird. These like random kids who are just coming out here and just like, hey man, let's fight all these guys off. So all of a sudden that leads us to have both uh, Bobby uh, and Dell here going on this motorcycle and heading off to the next town that they're to probably ruin. So here's my thing. Shouldn't anybody have known or know where Wayne is technically heading to? Shouldn't they figured out like where Wayne's mother is and possibly that's where Wayne is heading? Wouldn't that have made a lot more sense to just kind of figure that out? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But with that said, I think that's just me saying that I'm probably going to get out of here. Hopefully, everything is covered. Let me know in the comments below how you've been feeling about Wayne. It's probably a very goofy show to a lot of people. People may like it, people might hate it, people might feel indifferent because really it's like, hey, this is another show to watch. Woohoo! Because people might just need a show to watch, and that's maybe all that is to just fit into their way of things. So I think I'm going to get out of here because I have stayed up way over past what I should have. And plus, also, I've just kind of gone on and just done a lot more content that I should have for this day. So, anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Hopefully, I've covered everything. Yeah, I good enough. Good enough for this one. I'm gonna get out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.